Well, this ought to be an interesting morning. We're going to take the main oil junction block off of the bottom of this BSA. This is the block. It's way in here, and there's the bolt that holds it in place. You take that out. It's right above the frame, so you've got about an inch to work. And that is a short bolt, and it will come down, and it will then come out, and then the whole junction block slides out towards you, towards the outside. And there are two little O-rings in there, and we're going to replace them and then put it back together. At this point in time, we're just putting a pan underneath to collect the oil. No sense in draining it because it's going to go in the pan anyway. So here's where we start. All right, Kevin is getting close to the come out point, where that bolt should come free and drop down. Interesting.
Still too tight. Still too tight.
Let's see now. Wait a minute. All right, there you go. I think it's coming out now, and it is not fun. Well, good.
It's out.
We have das Bolt out. Good. All right, now that guy should pull out towards you, or at least down. It's a mess, but all right.
Yeah, it's being held by the...
That's good. All we need to do is reach those O-rings.
Okay,
So,
there we are.
okay, so let me zoom in on that just for the heck of it. All right, so there's the junction block. And we'll take a look, we'll get a light and take a look at the O-rings. All right, we've got the O-rings out. They're down here. And they're not as small as I remember them, but they are small. So they were in place. I was worried that they might not be. Here's the fitting, dripping oil. And if you hold it down and pull it out like this, you can actually see the cutaways where the O-rings go in. This is the supply, of course, because it's leaking. And then the other one's in the back. Get the light over on this side with my hand a little bit. Nope, down some. There you go. There you, now you're in on it. Back there is the other one, that's the goes out. So here's your Gazenta and here's your Gazauta, showing how the O-rings fit in there. So we're going to put the new O-rings in here and slide it back in place. All right, let's do that. All right, this is the fun of collecting O-rings for 20 years. I've got all these boxes of O-rings. And we're going to try to find two in all those O-rings that are roughly the size of this, which I took out of that junction block. So we're going to go all around. We've already looked through these red ones. They're high temperature, I think. Anyway, red ones, didn't have one. Over here, I don't think so. Over here, maybe down in that lower left corner there might be a couple. That's a nice little assortment there. Never know what you're going to find in there. And going over here, these are all pretty big, so probably not in here. Let's go back over here and we'll let you know in a moment what we find. We got to have two that'll fit out of all of these. All right, we've been through all these washers here, and I think we have a winner or two. This is the one that came out of the bike. These two look very much close to it, and if they will fit into the depression in the junction block, we'll use these two because they look to be about the same size diameter wise and maybe just a little bit larger in body diameter. So we're going to go see if these will fit into that junction block, and if so, those are the two we'll use. Oops. Well, both O-rings are in place. You're standing proud just a little bit, so I'm happy with it. And now we're going to video Kevin putting that silly bolt right back in place. The joy of it all. All right, Kevin's in there now. The difficulty is to getting that bolt in is you have to hold the junction block up against the engine flush inside the guides and then slowly turn the nut until you catch a couple of threads. And it looks like you got it going. All right, you ready to tighten that down?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, if you've caught threads, go ahead and use the wrench
Okay.
at this point. Because I think it caught good. I don't think
I
it's
think we're good.
cross-threaded. It was turning too easy. Let us pray. You happy?
As long as I'm going the correct way. Yes, okay. Yep, we're
All right, good. Okay, O-rings are in. Kevin's tightening up the block. We'll resume in just a minute after he gets that in here and see how it goes. All right, the junction block is in place. It's all tightened down. We're going to clean up all the oil, finish draining the oil tank, and put in all fresh engine oil at this point in time. Then we'll fire it up and make sure that nothing is leaking. So, looks good. And it is not a fun job. All right, follow up. We ran the bike for about, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, give or take, and turned it off and let it sit for a couple of hours. And so far, so good. No leakage. We'll check again tomorrow morning to see if any leakage occurs, but so far, so good. The bike is in pretty good shape, we believe. Right now, I'm working on the wiring inside the headlight because, well, I wasn't right. So anyway, I'm cleaning all the wires up and rerouting ignition. I don't like the way these early bikes had hot battery going to the horn all the time. So I'm taking that cable out and I will run ignition down to the horn and then a ground wire from the horn button so that the horn can't be run until the ignition is on. Same thing with the pilot light and the instrument lights. They were wired wrong. So I'm just cleaning up the wiring inside the headlight right now, and we'll see how that goes tomorrow morning when I resume work.